Hello everyone, good evening. Today we will see a new lesson that is educational ecosystem. I think this is one of among our key words in our educational YouTube channel. I think you learn a lot of things from this discussion, and please react and subscribe, comment, and like it. So what does mean educational ecosystem? You know, uh, it is very simple term, but we couldn't understand and we couldn't just implement very well yet. That is why we are just came with this point. Even if we know the term, but in accordance with implementation, uh, we are just in a pointer level. So we are in a starting point. So it is possible to discuss extra points on this issue. I think you get a lot of ideas from our discussion. So our discussion is a 15-minute segment. So the educational ecosystem, especially in this point, we'll see three keywords in educational ecosystem. We'll see three important crucial points. So one is interconnectedness, and the other one is shared responsibility. Yeah, shared responsibility, and the other is alignment. Alignment. So those critical points can be a means of our discussion, especially regarding us educational ecosystem. And when it comes to the introduction and defining the ecosystem, let's start from the hook, So start with comparing concepts. Always will just raise some sort of concepts in our mind. What if success was not just about the student, but about the system around them? Yeah, it's not only just what we think about success here is uh, was not just about the student, but about the system around them. Because if we manage and really lead our educational ecosystem effectively, by default, the students can give a success. That is, so we have to, know, we have to implement, and we have to understand very well about the educational ecosystem. And different scholars may just define the educational ecosystem in different perspectives. But when you come to the common sense, it is possible to clearly define educational system as the way of relationship, resources, and shared goals connecting the student, the teacher, the school, and the community or the parent. Uh, so educational ecosystem is a total sum up of the students and teacher and the educational organizations, either the university or a college or the schools, from primary to the preparatory level. So the interconnectedness, relationship of those, points and resources even, and shared goals of the those stakeholders really said to be educational ecosystem. So all points just look per or focusing on the educational system. So we have to consider those three big points: the teacher, the school, and the community. And the message, what's the core message of this, an educational ecosystem? So in educational ecosystem, success is not the sole sport. It is a network effort. Highlight failure in one area affects the whole system. So, for instance, students are not really good, their outcomes totally affect the whole system of the education. And teachers, for instance, may not have good initiation and motivation, and they are not inspired, by the system, this also affects the whole system of education. It affects educational ecosystem. The same thing, the community, engagement to the school, to the university, to the college, as such, not good. This also affects us. So totally, success is not a sole sport. Meaning, educational ecosystem must be organized effectively. So all stakeholders you know, must must be interconnected. Yeah, unless it is impossible to get what we need, as a success. And the other point is component one, the student's role. So let's see the stakeholders role. So first, in a school, in an educational institution, the big stakeholders are students role, isn't it? Yeah. And so beyond grades, the student as an active participant. So when we see the as a title or focus, our focus discussion is beyond grades, the student is as an active participant. So grade is good, but grade doesn't matter. But beyond the grade, it needs to participate alone in every activities in their educational compound an educational what called campus. Let's see the key points. Ownership, for instance. Students must take ownership of their learning journey. They don't give ownership for their teachers and for their parents. So here, not just being passive receivers. The student must be active receivers. Especially in the recent time, the challenge is this. Most students are just passive receivers and they just know they don't know how far their owner they have good ownership with their learning journeys, but they don't know this. So students must take ownership of their educational journeys, learning journeys. And the other is feedback loop. Yeah, what does mean feedback loop? Feedback is very important in every communication. There is a two-way communication, a forward communication, and a backward communication. So feedback is two ways. The one is a forward, and the other is a backward. So here is a feedback loop is emphasize the importance of students' voice. So we have to receive some sort of important information voice from the students and providing constructive feedback to teachers on what works and what doesn't. And teacher must be open to receive a feedback, isn't it? Yeah, this is good for you know uh, for teaching and learning or for educational ecosystem. And the other point here is community engagement. So community is very important for active learning and teaching process for educational or ecosystem. To build an effective educational ecosystem, it is better to give chance for communities to engage very much. So showing up to school, school events and contributing positively. So the community engagement is very important if there is their contribution is positive to the school environment and seeking mentorship from the community membership. So mentorship is very important. They must come to the school and they just give good suggestion for the school principals, the college deans, and the university directors, presidents. So it is very important. Community engagement is very important for you know for constructing the an effective educational ecosystem. And the other is actionable takeaways. Yeah, it needs always students be ready to implement a weekly 10-minute reflection journey. Learn and how could it have uh, hello, go sit down. And it have been taught better. Yeah. So always the students just now evaluate themselves. Yeah, for 10 minutes reflection journey. Uh, how 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 can I learn, and how could it have been taught better, what I learned. So all those points are very important. And the other component is the teacher and the school's role. So among the educational ecosystem stakeholders, teachers play a great role. The schools play a great role. So teachers and schools are just the coin of the one coin of two sides. So here is or the two sides of one coin. So here is our focus is just now the catalyst. The teacher is a catalyst, and the teacher as connectors and teacher as innovators. What the teacher connects? For instance, there is a communication, open communication. So at this time, the teacher just creating a structure, lower barriers with for parents and community members to communicate with the school. So the teacher just now, on the behalf of his or her students, send a letter and invite the parents and to come in a weekly email summaries, open door policy hours, just inviting them to come to school and discuss on the students' outcome and result. That is very important point really. So open communication, and also at this time the teacher can serve as a catalyst. So teachers as a connector and inventors. And the other point is curriculum alignment. Yeah, it is very important. Curriculum plays a great role anyway, and the curriculum considers the student's culture and the student's activity and the parent, the community. So moving beyond the text book to integrate real-world skills and local context using local historical events in history lesson. Yeah, it is very important, especially local histories, local historical events. What the student have known around them. For instance, in Ethiopia context, in our context, here there are Aksum events and Lalibela events and what called Najash, for instance. Yeah, so in different perspective, if we integrate, such kind of historical events in our curriculum alignment, that is good for students' initiation and the parents also involvement. And the other is resources broker. Yeah, teachers identifying and utilizing community resources, and they must just give chance like guest speakers from the community. Yeah, there are educators from the community, so invite them to speak. You know, based on the lesson. Yeah, based on the point and field trips. So we have to arrange the program to familiarize students with different environments. Students may not know different environments around them. So if there is caves, if there is what called mountains, if there is forests, so we have to arrange it in a weekend, and it is good because they can develop, critical thinking, and they can develop, what called why, how, and what. That is so local grants. So it needs to generate income. As a school, as a college, as a university, money is good input to run an effective teaching and learning process. And so in general, to enrich learning experience, resource brokers, just teachers must serve as a resource broker. And the other is actionable takeaway here is the teacher and the school identify one local business. Yeah, one local business in Gasgawa. Mm. Uh, አንመጣም አለ እንደ ፕሪንተር ታች ፕሪንተር አለ እንደ በለው ፕሪንተር ታች አለ እንዴ ታች ፕሪንተር አለ ዚስ ኤንድ ዲዛይነር ለባንት ኩነት ፕሮጀክት ኦኬ እንመጣለን በለው እንመጣለን okay so here sorry there is some interruption identify one local business profit and this means and designing a relevant collaborative project So it is very important as a teacher, as a school, it needs to gear, it needs to generate a business. So for that purpose, it is uh, one local business profit this month and designing a relevant collaborative project is, so collaborative project with other colleges, other institutions, and with the communities, with industries. It is very important for an effective teaching and learning process. Okay, and the other is, what called it is. The third point, component three, is the community and parents role. This is what called one sort of the people or one sort of the stakeholders from the educational background, yeah, educational ecosystem. So the title and the focus here is, fueling success. Yeah, fueling success. How can we fuel success? So to fuel success, it needs the community as a supporter structure. So communities, really a wonderful what called input for for building or for constructing an effective educational ecosystem. Really, it is a very important point. Community as a support structure. And here, in this point, there are some key points. The first point is active support. Active support. So, parents and guardians should focus on creating a support learning environment at home, not just checking homework, but asking how the students learned something. So resource sharing here is community members providing mentorship, internship, or volunteering their specific professional skills to the school. And the other is advocacy. So community organization and parents advocating for necessary, school fundings or local fundings and resource to the wider local government, So here is advocacy and resource sharing and active support is the responsibility of the community. So the community member provide a mentorship, internship, and voluntary their specific professional skills to the school. That is, so we have to. It is impossible to isolate the community, from the school, from the college, from the university. And the advocacies, community organization, and parents advocate for necessary local funding and resource to the wider local government. That is why, most of our school, most of our college and the university is weak in economy, in teaching learning process. So to be autonomous and to be effective in educational ecosystem, it needs, the advocates of the community. So our community just serve as an advocacy and a supporter structure of the school. And actionable takeaway here is community and parents dedicate 30 minutes a week conversation with your students. Yeah, as a community, it is better to just discuss. 30 minutes. Assume 30 minutes is enough. Short and brief discussion. What could be the responsibility of the parent? What could be the responsibility of teachers and the students about what they are learning and focusing and thinking causes? So why do they think the works? So it is very important as the issue. And the other, as a conclusion, just let's synthesize when to to finalize our discussion and to this discussion, and let's recap the main point. So here is to synthesize the three interconnected components. Let's three interconnected components. Let's raise some points. So how can create a constructive, educational ecosystem? So it is, possible, but when if we can just interconnected the students, teachers, and communities. So reiterate the idea that when all three are strong, and the resulting success is exponentially greater. That is, so all of the three, that is the students, teachers, and communities interconnected effectively, doing and implementing the educational ecosystem. That is, the resulting success is exponentially greater. And the other is bridge. So transition to the next key words and segments. So, in addition to the educational ecosystem, it needs some additional points to be effective, our educational ecosystem. So the entire ecosystem is driven by how we learn together. That is how we learn together. So next, let us explore collaborative learning strategies. We must know to learn together to establish an effective educational ecosystem. It is better to know collaborative learning strategy. For your surprise, my research is based on collaborative writing, for instance. So students can just write. Most of the time, people just assume writing is independent work. That is not true. Writing can be just written collaboratively. So collaborative learning strategy is very important for effective educational ecosystem. Would you like to move on to outlining the collaborative segment, or would you like to refine any of the points above first? Let me give you a chance for it. Now, at the end, you have to put your comment, constructive comment, and subscribe to this and like it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice, night, and we'll meet tomorrow another new lesson. Thank you. Bye bye.